Chapter 1. Pre-draft Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish was born on September 1st, 1999 in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Starting his high school career, he would start at Haverford High School as a freshman, and I scoured the internet and there's not a lot of stats on his freshman year, but he would quickly transfer after that to Westtown High School. But one thing we do know is before he ever even transferred to Westtown High School and before the season really was in full swing as a freshman, Cam Reddish got an offer from Penn State in 2014. What? This guy was cooking early. He had to be. And then when Cam Reddish would transfer from Haverford to Westtown, it was seen as a big move because he was teaming up with another top prospect at the time in Mo Bamba. So now these two were going to be able to play together in high school. Transferring was a good decision for Cam Reddish. He would go to Westtown and his name would start to get put out there even more than it was at Haverford as a freshman. Even though he got a Penn State offer, he would start to do official and unofficial visits at Duke, UNC, even Coach K from Duke coming to visit Cam Reddish, and he was only a sophomore at this point in his career. And again, there isn't a lot of data on his sophomore year stats, but we do know he was playing good enough to get colleges offering and visiting, and the team would go 17-4 and also be number 1 in the state of Pennsylvania. So Cam Reddish, early in his high school career, he was looking good. And after his sophomore season, he would actually get invited to the Team USA camp, but he would miss it because of an injury. But still, he was invited. He was recognized as only a sophomore, and this was before the big recruiting splash usually happens for juniors and seniors because that's when you really commit. So this is a good sign for Cam Reddish, again, showing that he is getting recognition from even camps like Team USA. And now Cam Reddish was going into his junior year of high school, and this is where stuff really starts picking up. He's playing with Mo Bamba, and they are looked at as one of the best teams in the country. And Cam Reddish and Mo Bamba would lead their team to a team final championship, and he would average 16.2 points per game over his junior year. This is when we finally start getting stats on what he's doing. And if you guys know me, you know I like to keep it a stack if you've watched any of my other videos, and I'm watching his junior year mix right now, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of underwhelming. Maybe it's because I just made a video about Zion and Zion's highlights were way better, but I mean, let's just look at this. Like, I don't know, it just seems a little bit underwhelming from what I was expecting. Okay, call me a hater, but I'm not impressed by that tape. Like, 2 of the clips were like one dribble moves of him like going between someone's legs or something. Like, okay, I get it, it's his junior year tape. We're not even at his senior year yet. But the fact that he was this highly recruited as a junior and like this is his tape, like, I mean, he's a 6'8" guard. Maybe that's what it was, but I'm not seeing the hype. Anyway, the team would be really, really good this year, and they would go 32-2, winning the team final championship, like I said before. And at the end of Cam Reddish's junior year, he was a solidified 5-star recruit. As you can see here, he was number 3 nationally, number 2 in the position, and number 1 in the state pretty much all throughout that summer of his junior year. Also going into his senior year, he was one of the top recruits in the country. And again, his numbers were nothing to be looked at really. He only averaged 16 points per game, but the high upside was his scoring ability. He was looked at as a 3-level scorer. He was 6'8". He was looked at as smooth, unguardable, all of those types of things, and that's why he was such a high recruit. He was also on a stacked team with Mo Bamba, another highly regarded 5-star, so the 16 points per game wasn't really anything to hurt him, as recruiters sometimes look at someone who's averaging 16, 17 points per game on a good team rather than a player averaging like 30 on a bad team. So this was why Cam Reddish was such a high recruit, if you're wondering, because of his low, I guess, points per game. Okay, but now going into Cam Reddish's senior year, this summer would be really important because he is now a highly regarded recruit going into his senior year. Colleges are going to start looking for him to make his decision, and he would actually go back to the team final tournament, and this tournament was huge for Cam Reddish. Teams were looking at him, and he was cooking, averaging 23 points per game in this tournament. And some reports even say that he was being too passive at times. And he would even drop 44 points in a loss. And teams were looking at this, and colleges were looking at this and saying, this guy's got the tools to be an NBA star. He's a 6'8" guard scoring wing. He looks like he could be unstoppable. And if you guys are big on like AAU recruiting, high school summer, stuff like that, you would know about the Peach Jam. And in the 2017 Peach Jam, Cam Reddish actually would compete in it, but he wouldn't make first team or second team on here. But I did some more research, and teams were still impressed with his fluidity, his smooth scoring, stuff like that. So he didn't steal the show, but he was still looked at as a good player, even though he didn't make first or second team. Now, if you guys also remember, he had to miss out on the 2016 summer USA camp thing because he got hurt. But in 2017 summer, he would actually be healthy and able to play with the USA team. And here are some highlights from that because he actually looks pretty good in these. Okay, after watching this, I can kind of see where the recruiters are coming from now. Maybe he doesn't have the flashy high school stats like a LaMelo or a Zion, but he's looked at as a plug-and-play player. He's a big wing/guard that can score at all three levels and can play defense. It really looks like he has no weaknesses, and he's super young. He can improve in every single level. So yes, I see the hype now, why he's a top recruit. Even though the numbers aren't that insane, you can see the vision here. It's the eye test that's really pushing Cam Reddish up these rankings. And then going into his senior year, only a couple of months into the school year, Cam Reddish would commit to Duke University. Let's go. He's going to the Blue Devils. And if you guys remember, I talked about this in the Zion Williamson video, but the other two top three commits, RJ Barrett and Zion, also commit to Duke. So three of the top three, all three of them are now going to Duke, and this is them at the All-American game all during their senior year. The class of 2018, what an amazing story. Wow. And during Cam Reddish's senior year, he would average 22 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and be named Mr. Pennsylvania Basketball, as long as a McDonald's All-American that we just talked about. So he's wrapping up his high school career, and he's ending as a top recruit, signing with Duke. This guy is tough. He would also be in Slam magazine having an article on him, and it was talking really good about him, saying, you know, about the USA incident, how he got hurt but then came back, and how he's been playing all this AAU ball and how he's good in high school. So Cam Reddish officially committed to Duke now, heading into his freshman year in college. And now Cam Reddish is playing with RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson, the two other top recruits of the 2018 class. But Cam Reddish is no stranger to playing with players like this because in high school he played with Mo Bamba, who was a highly rated 5-star recruit. So he knows how to make himself fit in a system where he might not even be the best player, which he wasn't in this case. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I feel like Cam Reddish was such a hyped prospect. He was really never asked to prove it loudly. And when he would go play at these EYBL or AAU camps, he played good, but he didn't play amazing or anything. The main hype around him was the eye test and what he could potentially do. He was never the best player on a bad team. His high school teams were always pretty good. Now he's going into a Duke class with these three players that are the top three recruits. So he's never been the guy on a bad team or anything like that. He's never been asked to prove anything yet. So a lot of people were a little bit skeptical of Cam Reddish because they're like, he's just a complimentary piece on these teams, and I don't know, maybe he's not that good. And so after the first game of the season, Cam Reddish drops 22 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, living up to the hype with Duke in a blowout win. And obviously he has the teammates in RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson. Still being able to drop these numbers was a good sign after the first game of his Duke career. And we looked at the same mock draft in the Zion video, but in this one we're going to highlight, Cam Reddish looked at as the 4th pick in the draft after his first game. The mock draft had him at number 4, so people were excited to see what he could do for the rest of the season. And as the 3rd option on the team, obviously it shows in some games he would have 4 points, 7 points, low points, but he would overall put up a good amount of points, rebounds, steals per game, even though he was the 3rd option on the team. But the reason why a lot of people were looking at these numbers badly is because they were seeing Cam Reddish as too passive. They're saying even though you have these two other players on your team, you still need to be aggressive at times. You're a top 5, mock draft pick. But he wasn't. He was playing more passive. Who knows why, but these were his stats from all of the games in his college career. And now the reason why I showed you all of the games and now I'm showing you the game totals is because I wanted you to see really why these totals are the way that they are, averaging 13 points per game, but look at the efficiency. The efficiency is really, really bad. And this is what started to hurt Cam Reddish in the draft boards, is teams looking at his efficiency, saying it's lower than we thought. He's supposed to be this efficient, 3-level scorer, and he's not efficient. Why is this? And the reason why is if you go watch the tape of these Duke games, is a lot of the time Cam Reddish was kind of the bailout guy. If Zion couldn't get going or RJ Barrett couldn't get going, they'd give it to Cam Reddish late in the shot clock and say, go cook something up. He would get a lot of grenade threes. He would get a lot of shots like that, heavily contested late in the shot clock shots. And so that's why the efficiency was the way that it was. And that is what led him to not fall all the way out of the mock draft, if that makes sense. People were calling him a beautiful player with a bad reputation because of the efficiency and all this stuff that was going on. And some people were saying he should have gone to a school that didn't have RJ Barrett or Zion on it and should have just had his own team, and then we would really see what he's doing so he wouldn't have any of these bad shot diets. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of what wrapped up Cam Reddish's college career heading into the draft, was that, maybe he's not the top 5 pick we all thought, but he's still good and is still a project. Okay, I know that was a lot, but with all of that said, now we are going into mock draft season where Duke's Cam Reddish is falling to number 10 in pretty much every single mock draft here. And he was, projected to go top 5, maybe even top 3 early on. Now he's going around 10, basically every single mock draft. And, that's okay. He fell a little bit. He's still a projected lottery pick, though. Really, the highest I could find him going was number 8. But as you can see, he's a polarizing prospect who looks part of a future star scorer, but his production leaves much to be desired. And he's got shades of Paul George and a bigger Ben McLemore. At the time, I guess this was a good comparison. But, okay, this is what we get from Cam Reddish going into the draft. And boom, Cam Reddish gets drafted 10th overall by the Atlanta Hawks. Oh, my goodness, Cam Reddish, the kid we saw in Pennsylvania at Duke. He gets drafted in the lottery, man. What a good sight to see. And the Hawks obviously had Trae Young at this time, and he was looked at as their future cornerstone, future star, and Cam Reddish was looked at as maybe a second star or a good wing player to put next to Trae Young. Chapter 2, Hawks Cam Reddish. And so Cam Reddish would actually sit out of the summer league going into his rookie year to try to recover from a core muscle injury, but this wasn't really looked at as anything crazy. But the first time we are going to see him play is going to be in preseason camp or even just the first start of the season. And something important to note is the Hawks' expectations going into the season was another development year. Obviously, Trae Young was still super young, and then also Cam Reddish coming in. Everything was just kind of starting to be built around Trae Young, so they weren't expected to make like a big playoff push or anything. It was just a development year. Okay, let's see. Cam Reddish, the 10th overall pick. We're heading into the season. We didn't get to see him in summer league, but now we get to see him in the regular season. Let's go. Let's see how he does. What? Okay, guys, this is Cam Reddish's first game of the season. Looks like 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 3 for 9. Okay, he started the game. He's a starter on this team. Okay, I mean, yeah, it's his first game ever, kind of second game ever, but first game. Okay, no, I mean, we can't really say too much about this. Is this guy getting thrown into the fire a little too early or something? I mean, he's getting put in as a starter. I get they don't have high expectations, but I mean, these are not the numbers we were expecting from Cam Reddish. Here. After starting the first 7 games of his career, he comes off the bench in game 8 and puts up 0 points. Okay, but he does have 2 steals, and the defense was something looked at from this guy, maybe that he could be an elite defender and guard 1 through 4, and I mean, it's looking like maybe he could do that here. Shooter, give me that starting spot back, baby. 17 points, 3 for 3 from 3, 6 for 10 from the field, 4 turnovers, but who gives a flying, bro? He's back, he's cooking. Cam Reddish, the guy we were all promised, the scorer, the 6'8" fluid wing, Paul George-esque. He's here, man. Okay, after that, he would sprain his left wrist, come back, play 3 games, kind of be back to his old self, and then sprain his wrist again. And as you can see, the Hawks are losing basically every single game right now. The flashes are flashing. 25 points, 10 for 17, 4 for 7 from 3, never swing the rock, tag, 6 rebounds. Okay, Cam Reddish is showing us that he is not just a complete bust, that he can actually have nights where he looks like the guy we were promised. And I know I've said that a couple times, but you get the gist. Some nights he's looking like Cam Reddish. Oh, but overall, Cam Reddish is just not looking good, man. This rookie season has been a rocky one. The efficiency is down. The points are down. The only really highlight we have is the defensive numbers have looked good. He's looked like a good defender, which is honestly the only thing that's really keeping him in the lineup at this point. And as you can see here, we're late into the season now. We're in January, almost at the All-Star break, and Cam Reddish is having some games that really do look promising. As you can see here, 5 steals, 20 points, 4 for 8 from 3. He's still starting, getting 30-ish minutes a night at this point. And yeah, I mean, there's really not much to take away from this other than he looks like he's going to be a project that's going to need a lot of work. And after a little bit more time in early February, Cam Reddish would suffer a concussion or a nose contusion and miss a couple of games here. But randomly, after he comes back from that injury, Cam Reddish was way more consistent, dropping over 10 points in this many games in a row, having decent efficiency. And all of a sudden, Cam Reddish was coming back and looking a lot better. And he would take this momentum into the month of March, where he only played a couple of games, obviously because of the NBA shutdown, but his averages in the month of March were way higher. And look at the shooting splits. Like, this is... wow, he's looking really, really good. He's making up for all of those terrible games. And on March 6th, he would have 28 points on 64% shooting, 5 for 7 from 3. Yes, he would have 7 turnovers, but still, this is the type of stuff we need to see from Cam Reddish. We want him to grow into that piece next to Trae Young, and if he can do stuff like this, he can easily grow into that piece. And unfortunately, right as Cam Reddish starts to cook, the NBA shuts down and moves to the NBA bubble, and the Atlanta Hawks would not be participating in the bubble. So this would wrap up Cam Reddish's rookie season a little bit early, just as he was starting to cook, which is a little sad. But let's take a look at everything, all the stats, and all the awards. So rookie Cam Reddish would end averaging about 27 minutes per game, 10.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, 1.5 assists, a steal per game, and then obviously the efficiency, 38% from the field, 33% from 3, 80% from the line, but 50% true shooting. This is not what we were looking for, and honestly, it's a lot similar to what we were looking at in college. If you guys remember earlier in the video, we looked at his college efficiency. Nothing was over 40%. It's the same way in the NBA. And in the NBA, that is just unacceptable. You can't be a 38% from the field type of guy if you want to be a starter on a team. But he is a rookie. He had a rough season. His shot diet wasn't the best. It was very similar to what he had in college. But overall, not the worst rookie season of all time, but definitely not what we expected. And unfortunately, even after being the 10th pick, playing in 58 games, and even starting in 34 of them, Cam Reddish would receive 0 votes for the all-rookie team. As you can see, his Duke counterparts in RJ Barrett and Zion both received votes. Zion obviously on the first team, RJ Barrett receiving votes, but Cam Reddish, not even a single vote. And a Hawks fan article right here says that Cam Reddish had a very up and down season, and he had a rough start, but by the end of the season, he was starting to grow, and he would actually rank his entire rookie season as a B. Very shocking. I would expect something like a C, maybe not a D, but definitely not a B here. But this is a Hawks fan grading him in 2020 right after his rookie season. And a lot of people were saying the reason why his offense wasn't that good is because he was very hesitant on the offensive end if he was having a bad shooting night. Some people thought he just needed to shoot through it, and when he did do that, sometimes it was getting even worse. He would go 0 for 5, 0 for 6 as we saw some of these games. And so a lot of people were saying that Cam Reddish just needs to work on his confidence. And he would have a long offseason because the Hawks did not go to the bubble in order to work on all of these things, shooting off the dribble, anything he needed to work on in order to fit into the team better. But the Hawks already viewed him as a long-term piece at this point, and after this year of rebuilding, they were expected to go into the next season and try to actually win games. They were no longer tanking. Overall, this was a pretty quiet offseason for Cam Reddish. People were just expecting him to work on his shooting and get that efficiency numbers up for next season and be, more of a defensive, maybe minded wing, but also get those 3-point and regular field goal percentages up. But now let's head into his second season as an Atlanta Hawk and in the NBA. Okay, starting his second season in the NBA, he's already looking a lot more consistent than he was starting his rookie year. Yes, he had that 1 5-point game, but overall, the numbers are already looking a little bit better. Okay, he would follow that up with a little bit of a rough stretch, but then right back in a 21-point game, 10-point game, 20-point game. And again, not just points, he's also getting steals. That one game with 4 steals, couple games with a couple steals. The defense is really what's carrying Cam Reddish right now. And then he would also suffer a little bit of a left knee injury. He would only miss 3 games from this though, so not that bad. And then he would come back and oh man, it's just looking rough. It's almost like, what was this guy working on in the offseason? Was he working at all on his contested jumpers? Was he working at all on his shot? Like, This is not what we need from Cam Reddish and the team at this time. The Hawks were underperforming throughout this part of the season. They were expected to be, a little bit of a better team, and they're kind of back to, it looks like, tanking again. And 30 games into the season, Cam Reddish would suffer a right Achilles injury, and this would put him out for a significant amount of time. And at this time, the Hawks were 13-17, not good, not where they wanted to be. They wanted to be a playoff team this season, and they are not making the playoffs as of right now. And now Cam Reddish goes down with an injury. Will this hurt them, or will this help the Hawks? Well, it's safe to say the Hawks ended the season on a hot streak, ending 31-15 and ending as the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, making the playoffs. And they did basically all of this without Cam Reddish coming back. And they were going into the playoffs now, and Cam Reddish was expected to miss the first round of the playoffs with his Achilles injury still flaring up. So the Hawks were going into their series against the Knicks without Cam Reddish. And it would be no problem for the Trae Young-led Hawks. He would walk into the Palace in the Garden of New York and destroy them in 5 games. Wow, the Hawks are actually a good team. They're going to the second round of the playoffs. And in the second round of the playoffs, the Hawks would play against the 76ers, and Cam Reddish would miss all 7 games, and the Hawks would still win, being an underdog in the series against the Embiid and Simmons 76ers when Simmons was still really good, and the Hawks would win in 7 games. They're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. What? And now there were some reports saying, will Cam Reddish play in the Eastern Conference Finals? He's seen warming up in this video here, and some Hawks fans wanted him to come back. Some Hawks fans didn't want him to come back as they were so good to end the season and in the playoffs without him. But some players thought that they needed the defense. Some people thought maybe his defense could help them out against the Giannis-led Bucks. And in Game 1, Cam Reddish would not play, and the Hawks would win Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Wow, on the road too. And now Cam Reddish, this is our first time seeing him since the middle of the season. He comes back for Game 2, but the Hawks get blown out. He only plays 4 minutes in the second quarter. He is a -17. He only takes 1 shot and he misses it. Doesn't play at all in the third quarter. Comes back in the fourth, plays all 12 minutes. It's pretty much GG's already, but he does everything you see on the stat sheet here, he does in the fourth quarter. So Cam Reddish, it's his first game back. Wow, we haven't seen him in so long, and he's coming back in the Eastern Conference Finals. Wow. Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals, the Hawks would lose to go down 1-2 back in Atlanta, and also Cam Reddish would not play in this game. Game 4, crucial Game 4, can't go down 3-1 here. The Hawks would win, and Cam Reddish would play in every single quarter, dropping 5 for 9 from the field, 2 steals and a block. He's a +5. Efficient game in the Eastern Conference Finals. Cam Reddish is looking like the piece the Hawks need to bring back to maybe make the finals. Then the Hawks would go down 3-2, but Cam Reddish would play 23 minutes, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block. Efficient game, only took 5 shots, 60% from the field. He was a +1. So this loss, they lost by a good amount, by 11, but it's not really on Cam Reddish. He has another decent role-playing game here after missing all that time, comes back in the ECF, and this is how he does in his third game. It's not bad. Game 6 Clay? More like Game 6 Cam Reddish. Yes, they lose and they don't go to the finals, but Cam Reddish, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, +4, 7 for 12, 6 for 7 from 3. He would not miss a 3 in the second half. He would go 5 for 5 in the second half from 3, 81% true shooting. Oh my gosh, Cam Reddish. Even though they don't win this game, the Hawks fans were loving that they got Cam Reddish to actually play an amazing game, and yes, they were heartbroken that they don't go to the finals, but this is a promising player now, and the team that just goes to the Eastern Conference Finals, they're looking good, and maybe next year could be even better. Cam Reddish is coming back. He just came back from his injury. Eastern Conference Finals, what a game for Cam Reddish. Wow. And now after that game, the Hawks were going into the offseason, and Cam Reddish was going into his second offseason in the NBA, and that game really saved himself. He was almost out of a job in Atlanta at that point, but that game revitalized his career and either kept his job in Atlanta or upped his trade value. I don't know. I guess we'll see. And now we're starting to get into extension talks in the offseason. Who's going to get extended on the Hawks? We just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. What's going to happen? And the Hawks actually decide to not extend Cam Reddish, and they would rather focus on DeAndre Hunter and John Collins on their forward core, and Cam Reddish is kind of now the odd forward out. Anyways, now we're starting the 2021-22 season, and Cam Reddish's first game, oh my gosh, 20 points in 21 minutes, 3 for 4 from 3. It looks like he's picked up exactly where he left off in that Bucks game. An amazing start for Cam Reddish's junior or third year in the league. And maybe those non-extension talks from the Hawks to Cam Reddish kind of motivated him to play a little bit better, because to start this year, this is exactly what we've been waiting for. The Hawks are winning games. They're off an ECF appearance, and Cam Reddish is stepping up and putting up good numbers in almost every single game to start the season. And obviously, we can't have nice things for long. In this new screenshot, Cam Reddish's production is going to go down dramatically from that start of the season. It seemed like he had it figured out, and all of a sudden he slips back into that low points, low aggression score that he kind of was his whole career. I mean, yikes. Look at this game in November 21st, 2021. 4 points, 0 for 7, only points off of free throws in only 16 minutes, in a 20-point win for the Hawks. And the Hawks were not as good as everybody expected they were to come into the season, but I mean, yikes, dude, this is a bad game. Okay, look at these numbers. Before we get into it, I'm just going to say, at this point, a lot of talks were going on behind the scenes that Cam Reddish did want to be traded, and he wanted to have a bigger role on a team. And as the trade deadline starts approaching, all of a sudden, Cam Reddish, 34 points, 18 points, 10 points, 33 points, 8 threes made. These are his career highs. These are his best games of his career, and they are all of a sudden happening right before the trade deadline. Interesting. Maybe he wants to be traded. Maybe he's trying to prove that, to another team that he can have that bigger role. I don't know. And look at these comments on the Real app, dude. This is like the day or 2 days before he got traded. Like, this is way before the app was big, so there's only like a couple of people commenting, but they're saying come to Cleveland, trade him to the Knicks, he needs to be traded. Like, this was in the talks already that he was pretty much going to get traded. Now we just have to wait to see where he gets traded, pretty much, because everyone knew it was happening. Yep, even reports from the NBA Bleacher Report saying Hawks trade rumors, Cam Reddish more likely to be moved than get a new contract. The Hawks they gave up on Bro. They don't want Bro anymore. They'd rather stick with DeAndre Hunter and John Collins, the forwards that really ran them in the playoffs. So now Cam Reddish, trade rumors are official. It's not just real comments. Let's see. Chapter 3, Knicks Cam Reddish. Okay, wow, Cam Reddish traded to the Knicks. That one guy was right. On Tuesday, the Hawks ship Cam Reddish and Solomon Hill to the Knicks for Kevin Knox. The Hawks are also getting a first-round pick, and the Knicks get a second-round pick, and it was a Woj bomb. Okay, so it's official. Cam Reddish is getting traded to the Knicks. Maybe, trying to get a bigger role there. What's going on? We don't know, but he is officially off the Hawks, and he is a New York Knick now. The day after the trade, an Atlanta report came out saying that Cam Reddish wanted out to find a bigger role, and that he was basically forcing his way out for months, and that he wanted a bigger role on a different team, which it's like, dude, come on. If you wanted a bigger role, just play yourself into the role on the team that drafted you. They gave you plenty of opportunities throughout the season, and you had games where you would literally shoot 0% from the field, dude. Like, I don't understand why you're requesting out for a bigger role when you couldn't even fill the role on your own team. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And it's safe to say that anybody with a brain knew that Cam Reddish was not going to get the bigger role on the Knicks here, because Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish's former college teammate, were already on the Knicks, and they were already kind of the guys, the forwards on that team. So Cam Reddish heading in, it'd be the same situation as in Atlanta with DeAndre Hunter and John Collins, but maybe even worse with RJ Barrett and Julius Randle. So I mean, good luck, Cam Reddish. How's that new big role doing for you, Cam, over there in New York? 5 minutes. Wow, your first game as a Knick. You got either DMPs or you were hurt at the start of your Knicks tenure. It didn't tell me on the app, and I did some research. I couldn't really find anything on the injury reports, but yeah, his first game where he gets minutes, 5 points. Wow, okay. Let's see if he can somehow cook somebody in practice or benefit off of an injury or something like that from another player, because that's really the only way I see him getting minutes. Yeah, he's just getting straight DMPs here. He's getting some games where he gets in garbage time and gets a couple points, but for the majority of his Knicks career so far, it's not looking too good for Cam Reddish. At least when he was on the Hawks, he was getting minutes and he was able to play in the game sometimes, even if it was off the bench for 10 to 15, maybe even 20 minutes. He was getting shots up. He was a part of the team. Now he's on the Knicks. He's getting no run. Okay, so this is the best game he would have. Basically, all of these minutes came in the second half. And this is the only game I really caught that he played anything, and it seems like it was a pretty big lead against the Clippers here. But Cam Reddish having his first good game on the Knicks, for all the Cam believers, they're loving this, and they're saying, yes, the Knicks have a secret weapon on the bench. Okay, I know you guys hate the Google AI summaries, but there's really no other way for me to aesthetically put the numbers on here. Everything would just look super blocky and like Excel sheeted. But so for the 2021-22 season, when Cam Reddish was on the Knicks, he played 15 games. He averaged 6 points, 1 rebound, an assist, and 14 minutes per game, shooting 41% from the field. Basically, almost all of these numbers were garbage time minutes. So we're basically his third year's done, which is, it's weird. His third year was really weird. He gets traded, and then when he gets traded, he doesn't play that much. So his total stats are going to look odd. All right, these are his total stats: 10 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 20 minutes per game. Efficiency shows a slight increase, but I mean, it's really hard to gauge this because he played on 2 different teams, and one of the teams he was really like the 10th guy on the bench, and the other team he had opportunities, but then he wanted out. So really odd third year for Cam Reddish. He gets traded, the whole shebang. So now we're going into his 4th year in the NBA, and he is widely regarded now as, hopefully he can maybe be an off the bench piece, maybe a 6-man at one point. That's kind of where we're at with him. That was the general consensus. The Cam Reddish Knicks saga was not looking good going into the offseason. Obviously, they had already been building their team around Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, but now even worse for Cam Reddish, those opportunities were not going to be even better because they are picking up Jalen Brunson, who just had a breakout series against the Jazz in the first round, and Jalen Brunson signs the contract here in New York, and he is going to be seen as maybe the next head guy with Julius Randle. Okay, this is also important to account for. I thought I put it in here, but I guess I didn't. Cam Reddish would end this season with a separated right shoulder. He was already not really playing that much, as we saw, but he did not play for the rest of the season. It started in early March, and then that would kind of go into the offseason. And as it says here, he would, he's up for an extension in the offseason. So would the Knicks extend him? Those are some talks. Okay, now we are starting the 2022-23 season. Cam Reddish heading into this season. He's got the 6 patch on for Bill Russell. He's changed his number to number 0. We're heading into this season, and he would actually start off the season getting some minutes. So let's see how he performs in the start of the season. He is one of the Knicks' first to second guys off the bench here. He's getting around 17 to 25 minutes a night in all of these games, and you can see he has a really good game in one of them. But now he's starting to play poorly again. Cam Reddish, with the opportunity on the Knicks, is not showing up for this bigger role that he was requesting. Now, this game right here, I think, is one of the most important benchmark games in Cam Reddish's history. He started this game. He placed 37 minutes. And no, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett were not inactive. They were playing in this game, and Cam Reddish still started. Tibbs gave him an opportunity here, and it's just clear that Cam Reddish did not seize the day with this one. And no, he didn't just get started for one game and then got put back to the bench. He started in all of these games you're seeing, and even that 0.0 rebound, 1 assist game, we'll look into that in a second, but he started all of these games. You can see 26 points, 4 steals, 19 points, 10 points, 11 points. He's starting these games, but now let's take a look at that 0-point game. As you can see, he started this game. See the S next to the real app guard thing? That S means he started 18 minutes, 0 for 7 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, 1 assist, minus 17. Oh my goodness. This is really, 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 really bad. And yes, we see these games, 26 points, 10 for 17 from the field. These are the games that he's kind of looking like Cam Reddish. He's looking like the aggressive guy that we need him to be. But these games are way more rare than those 0.0 for 7 games. He's had plenty of games like that. It's rare that he has a game like this. And so it's starting to be a common pattern for him to be invisible on the court almost. And after that stretch of starting games, he would miss 3 straight games with a right groin injury. And after he would come back from that injury, it was healthy DMPs for Cam Reddish. And look at the W's the Knicks are catching with Cam Reddish not playing. They literally have no reason to play him at this point. They are literally winning a bunch of games with him sitting on the bench the entire game. Yes, he would literally catch healthy DMPs until February, which is, yep, you guessed it, the trade deadline. And boom, Portland completes multi-team trade to trade Josh Hart for Cam Reddish and a first-round pick. What is Portland thinking here? Josh Hart is worth way more than a healthy DMP and first-round pick from the Knicks, which is going to be in the 20s. Cam Reddish, I mean, the Knicks fans, you guys know that this is a masterful deal here from your GM. What is Joe Cronin doing? If you look, Reddish is averaging 8.4 points with the Knicks in 20 games. Oh my gosh, like Cam Reddish is going to go get a new chapter now in Portland, I guess. Like, what a shocking trade, honestly. Chapter 4, Blazers Cam Reddish. So Cam Reddish was going into a situation in Portland where they were about 500 and they were in the 10th place in the Western Conference, but Damian Lillard was having one of his best seasons of all time at this point, averaging a career high in points and efficiency. And as we previously discussed, the Blazers traded Josh Hart for Cam Reddish, who was a starter for the Blazers. So Cam Reddish was actually going into Portland with a starting role. Yes, he started his first game in Portland, and Cam Reddish starting his first game on his third team drops 11 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists on decent efficiency. But again, the Blazers weren't really that competitive here. But this was great for Cam Reddish because he was finally going to get that role, that opportunity that he's been longing for. And will he catch that opportunity? Kind of. I mean, he has the 5-point game, but then 18 and 24. And then 7, 10, and 13. But, I mean, he's showing some flashes here. He's obviously still a good defender on, 1 through 4. But, I mean, let's just see how he wraps up the season here in Portland. Okay, at this point in the season, the Blazers were in full tank mode. They shut down Damian Lillard, but Cam Reddish was getting his opportunity to show if he deserves an extension because his contract was coming to an end here soon. And he would probably have the most consistent streak of his career here through these games, dropping decent games, even career highs in assists and 8 assists there. So not bad for Cam Reddish here in Portland, maybe revitalizing his career that was dead in New York, catching healthy DNPs. So he would end his season in Portland kind of falling off that consistent stretch, dropping 0 points in 19 minutes there, and then 4 and 4 also in 19 minutes, having a highest game of 11 points. As you can see, the Blazers are losing, they're tanking, but yeah, this ending of the season was not good for him, but that streak we just looked at before was good for him, and it's going to help him early or later on, as you'll see. And the Blazers would actually shut down Cam Reddish here with some lumbar soreness. I'm not sure if this is a real or fake injury. There's really not much on it, but he wouldn't play the last 5-6 games of the season because Portland was actually thinking maybe we want to keep this guy for the rebuild, because Blazers were going into a rebuild, obviously going into a offseason where they would draft Scoot Henderson. They had a high pick and everything, so are the Blazers looking to keep Cam Reddish as a long-term piece? Potentially. But the Blazers were also not all in on Cam Reddish. So they were looking at other things too. They had just drafted Scoot Henderson now and, traded Damian Lillard. They were going full rebuild mode. So keeping Cam Reddish was not on the forefront of their minds, but it was a possibility. But now we are going into the 2023 offseason where Cam Reddish's contract was up, so he could be signed. He was a free agent, so other teams could make offers for him. And this is what the other teams were looking at: about 25 minutes per game, 9.7 points per game, 2 rebounds, assist and a half, a steal, 44% from the field and 31% from 3. A little downgrade in the 3-point percentage from last year, but an upgrade in the field goal percentage. And then obviously, still a decent defender. So this is what those teams were looking at: an athletic defensive wing who can occasionally hit a shot. Let's see what teams are going to be in the hunt for him. Boom, and early on in the offseason, at about early July here, Cam Reddish signs with the Los Angeles Lakers. What? Wait, this actually looks like a good fit. The Lakers just made the conference finals, got swept by Yoke Big Honey, but the Cam Reddish Lakers saga might be good because they don't need him to drop 15, 20 points a night. They just need an athletic wing, catch and shoot defender around LeBron. Okay, wait, this actually makes sense for Cam Reddish and the Lakers. Chapter 5, Lakers Cam Reddish. Another reason why Lakers Cam Reddish made a lot of sense is because he's finally going to a team with a set role. All these other teams, the Hawks, he was expected to maybe be a star, and then going to the Knicks, he was expected he wanted a bigger role, but they kind of played him as a bench player. So, and then he goes to the Blazers where they were like rebuilding. Could he be the guy? Could he be a starter? It was all up in the air. But now going to the Lakers, we know exactly what we're going to get from him. We're going to get a role-playing wing from Cam Reddish. Let's jump straight into the season, the 2023-24 season. Cam Reddish is now on his 4th team. Let's see it. And it's not looking too good. Obviously, we're not expecting that much from him. We're not expecting 15, maybe even 10 points per game. But, I mean, dropping 0 in back-to-back games. Yes, he's not playing a lot. He's off the bench, and he's not like, the first guy off the bench, but still, yikes. Darvin Ham would randomly throw Cam Reddish into the starting lineup the same way that the Knicks did that one year. And oh my gosh, Cam Reddish is looking good, and the Lakers are winning games. Wait, oh my goodness. Wait, Cam Reddish, 17 points, 18 points, 3 steals in back-to-back games, 5 steals, 3 steals. His defense is looking insane, and his offense is average, maybe even above average in some of these games. Lakers Cam Reddish is here, and he is not messing around. He would unfortunately get pummeled with a little bit of injuries here, and in between those 2 injuries, he would play a game and drop 0 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Take a wild guess on how many minutes he played in that game. 19. He played 19 minutes in that game and was scoreless. Yikes. Okay, but that one game wasn't enough to keep him out of the starting lineup. He is starting in all of these games, and he is finally fitting into a role in the NBA. Cam Reddish is no longer a question mark, a mystery. He is a defensive wing, and he is getting minutes mainly for his defense. Look at these games. 3 steals in that game. 3 blocks in that game. The defense is there. He's a 6'8" wing that can guard the 1 through 4, and now he is occasionally getting some looks, maybe playing with LeBron and AD is helping him out, but the Lakers are rolling as well. And January would be a little bit of a different story than December. As you can see, he is dropping 0 points in these games that he is starting in these games. 3 games, 0 points. And what Darvin Ham was doing is if Cam Reddish was not going offensively in the first quarter, he just would not play him for the rest of the game. So some of these games where he's dropping 0, he's only playing like 10 minutes. But this is kind of how it's going for Cam Reddish now. It's either he gets going in the first or he doesn't play. Okay, he would suffer a left knee injury, come back 2 games right here off the bench, elite defensively, 2 steals in that game, 3 blocks in that game, and then he would sprain his right ankle. So going into February, this is the first time in a while we're going into February without really trade rumors for Cam Reddish, because he's been playing decent when he's been playing, but sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good, it's inconsistent. But this is where we're at with him. He's injured right now. And that right ankle sprain would take him out for a majority of this month of February. He's missing a lot of games in a row here. So his role, though, coming back would not be as much of a question mark as you would think. The Lakers actually kind of liked his defensive presence on the court, and if he wasn't going offensively, they would just bench him. So his role was not a question mark. He was a role player for this team. Okay, we are officially in late February, early March, and he is back from his ankle sprain, but I mean, the minutes are down. He's not playing that much. When he does play, he plays maybe 15 minutes max. So maybe he's getting brought in for certain matchups at this point for the Lakers, but his role has extremely diminished from what it was before the injury. So this game right here basically sums up Cam Reddish coming back from his injury. He would play, maximum 13 minutes. He would get 2 blocks, 4 rebounds. He only took 2 shots, bricked them both. And so he was basically just getting brought in for defensive assignments at this point in his career, at this point in the season. He's just getting brought in to play some defense, guard maybe their second or best player on the court. And so Cam Reddish, it was looking rough for him now on the Lakers, man. And he would end the season catching a couple DMPs. He had that 1 assist in that game, but barely played. And then he's ruled out with a right ankle sprain in that play-in game against the Pelicans and in the Denver first-round series. He's ruled out with a right ankle sprain, so he would not play in the playoffs here. So Cam Reddish's first season on the Lakers is now wrapped. And he was going into the season with a defined role as a 3-and-D wing, and he would play 49 games and actually start in about half of the games. He started half of the games, averaging 20 minutes a game, 5 points per game, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, about even plus minus, but we're back to below 40% from the field, 33% from 3, 50% true shooting. It's what he's been at his whole career. We've seen little to no offensive improvement. If anything, we've seen an offensive decline from Cam. And now officially, after Cam Reddish's first season as a defined role player, his entire NBA perception was changed from a young guy looking for a breakout to a role player trying to remain in the league, which is sad to say, but that's the reality of his situation going into the 2024-25 season. And in the media day interview, he would talk about how the role that they are looking for him to do is similar to last season, just kind of being a defender, and then on offense, just making the right play and not turning the ball over and just making the right play. That's what they wanted him to do on offense, but the main thing he was there for was defense. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single week like I did last year, because last year was a lot more jam-packed. He was actually going into a role. He was exciting. This year, he only played 33 games. He only started 8, and this screenshot really shows you what his season was like. He would get a lot of DNPs, games where he wouldn't play, and then he would get games where he played a little bit, but really only scoring 5 points, 1 steal. This was the summary of Cam Reddish's 2024-25 season. And here are his top performances from that year. His best game was a 15.6 rebound, 2 assist game. And as you can see, even going down to like his 5th or 6th best game, they're just off the bench. uber role player nights. I mean, no, role players sometimes have a couple really good games, 25 points, 20 points, 15 points, 10 rebounds, something like that. But Cam Reddish had basically completely fallen out of that. And this season was, I want to say, basically a lost season for Cam Reddish. And the Lakers would give up on him in late March, and they would waive him and sign Jordan Goodwin, who had been playing good. And as you know now, if you keep up with the NBA, he's on the Suns, and he's playing minutes every single night. So Jordan Goodwin was seen as the better quality NBA player, and he's earned the trust of the Lakers. And so Cam Reddish gets waived, and he is officially out of the league for a little bit. Oh, and how could I forget? The Lakers actually tried to trade him by the trade deadline for Mark Williams. Obviously, everybody knows this trade would get rescinded and keep him on the Lakers, which would lead to him getting waived, like I just said. But okay, yeah, I forgot to put this in here. Yes, Cam Reddish was a part of a trade, but it got rescinded. Wow, it's not looking. And we have officially hit an all-time low for Cam Reddish, only playing 33 games, averaging 3 points in those games, 17.8 minutes, which is enough to score more than 3 points, 2 rebounds, not even an assist. Still a steal per game. This guy just always somehow manages to average a steal per game. But yeah, it's pretty much over for Cam Reddish at this point, getting waived by a team and then not getting picked up. And so Cam Reddish would actually hoop overseas after failing to get a contract over the offseason. He would start the season hooping overseas a little bit and, just staying in basketball shape, trying to maybe eventually make a comeback into the NBA. And on January 26th, the San Diego Clippers would actually get Cam Reddish, bringing him away from Lithuania's top division. And he comes back to the U.S. for personal reasons, and he's now under a G League contract. So Cam Reddish back in the U.S., back in the NBA system, hooping in the G League. Could he eventually make a comeback? I don't know. Do you think he can? Maybe he can. Maybe he can't. But this is where we will end this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you did, this video took me a long time to make. I did not think it was going to be this long, honestly, but it is. And if you guys enjoyed, please give me more suggestions for other players to do this on. If you don't know, I've already done Scoot Henderson and Zion Williamson. So if you want to go watch those videos, just click on my channel. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We smashed the goal last time I set for 1,000 subscribers by the end of January. We got to 2,000, so you guys absolutely killed it. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I absolutely love making these videos for you, and I'm sorry this took so long. I expected it to be out a couple days ago, but depending on when you're watching this, you could be watching this months from now. But thank you guys so much. I love all of you. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.